Oh boy, I'm feeling nutty today. We're gonna have to rock and roll today, Alan. It's exciting.
I have never seen you this excited. And
I
I was thinking about it
I
on the
know.
way over. Of all the restraining orders our guests have had to get against you, this
Sure.
one
Oh,
might be the most restrictive.
I'm not gonna lie.
You may not be able to be in the same state as her after this.
I
I
mean
am a
seriously.
lawyer, by the way, just saying.
I know. And it's so I am officially a Stephanie Stuckey stalker. I mean, in the best
Okay.
possible way.
Yeah.
I mean, on all the instas, all the socials, everything. I follow everything. I'm like a little kid. I'm like, oh my God, where's she today? Oh, she's road tripping here. Oh my God, I've always wanted to go there. That's so cool. So we have Stephanie Stuckey on the rebirth of the brand, the Stuckey's pecan rolled log. But we're going to talk a lot more about just what she's doing.
I mean,
because
this is red-blooded American Southern royalty. that we've got-
American.
yeah.
she's American.
Yes.
She's Americana.
American.
She is American. She's the Americana OG road stop.
Yeah.
I
There
mean,
you go.
Bucky's
That's
don't
it.
have
We
nothing
really-
on that, man.
No.
OG of the
Don't
roadside
mention them.
Americana.
Right. So it's exciting. And of course, we'll put this on YouTube and you will see that Stephanie is actually going under an assumed name right now. If you see any of her tags on here, because she was afraid that if she told everybody that she was coming on the show, that there might be a bunch of people outside going, "We want Stephanie. We want," but that was me.
Wouldn't that be
Yeah.
nice?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the reality is, right, I've got a daughter who has hijacked my Zoom account and put her name on it, and I don't know how to fix it. So
That
And
reminds me of
she's
the,
on spring break right now, so she is not here to help me fix
That's the best
Zoom.
reason to have kids is IT support.
oh, I know. And they're the worst at it. Well, mine are until I do something stupid on Insta and they're like, "Dad, you got to take that down."
Or when you ask them to help, they're like, their fingers just start going and they're like, there. And I
Yeah.
want them to teach me.
Right.
And they're like, we did teach you. I was like, no, you
No, don't give me the fish. Teach me how to fish.
I am so thrilled that I can use two thumbs, but I watch these guys go and it's like thumbs, fingers. I mean, they're going all over the place. I'm like, no, I didn't catch that. Or we're trying to search for like a Netflix show or something. And I'm like, they're like, give me that
Yeah.
thing. I'm like, oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah. I'm
But
trying
that's
to get
not
my
where we're-
daughter does all these videos on social media. And I said, just show me how to edit. Can you help me with edit? No.
Yeah, I'm guilty. I still feel like I'm young at heart.
You are.
I am at heart. Not
Yeah.
really.
So if you
even at
see
heart.
my TikTok videos, they are like 99% first takes and they're all unedited. Like I don't know how to edit.
Well, they're authentic.
So
Isn't that?
and
It's
that's the word
authentic.
right there,
Yeah.
baby. Right there. You're authentic.
She is.
That's becoming overused, but I like to think we're authentic too. So let's get into this. Let's get rocking and rolling. Stephanie, we are thrilled to have you on. She's in Atlanta. She's a Georgia native, not an Atlanta native though, but she lives in Atlanta now. Stephanie, you've got such a great story, but one of the things I really am excited about, and Alan and I are both, I started my own business at 37, and I felt like I was a little late to the game, and I took that leap.
Oh.
Right. And so I'm out
That's
there.
young.
I'm working for. Yes, looking back on it now, it really was.
I know.
But I left the big bank. I was at SunTrust, senior vice president. We had the parking thing. I had all this money, and I said, nope, I'm going to start my own business. And everybody says, man, you must have had a lot of guts. And I'm like, no, I just didn't know what I was getting into. But I had a business plan. I had on this. Here's your deal. You're 50 years old, 50 plus, not to date you on that.
50-ish.
Yeah,
50-ish.
way
Yeah.
to throw the age out.
I'm ages. I mean,
All right.
but she's part of
It's
us.
okay. He
She's
said, he
easy.
got it right. He said 50 plus, 50-ish. I'm 50 and holding. It's all
Right.
good.
And so you have this great brand name and it's Stuckey's, but you weren't doing anything with it. I mean, you were working in environmental law. You were a lawyer. You're making,
Yeah.
I mean, again, lawyers, aka big bucks, right?
I would think so.
Yeah. I mean, rolling it in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
So high rolling. And you said, nah, screw this. I'm going to go do this on my own. What the hell were you thinking?
Well, it wasn't a decision that I sat down and made. It was an unexpected opportunity. I literally was minding my own business in my green world, wearing my Birkenstocks, drinking oat milk latte, and hanging out at my fair trade co-op, talking about saving the world with my buddies, my green buddies. And I get a phone call from one of the owners of Stuckey's. And there had been decades of the company having different owners, and it was for sale. And they
See-
were dialing for dollars. They were dialing for people with the last name Stuckey.
Oh my gosh. So we've talked about this a lot on our podcast as we talk about entrepreneurs, entrepreneur wannabes. It isn't something that you actually thoughtfully planned out from the time you were 6 years old.
No.
It's usually
Mm-mm.
something that just gets thrown at you. You get forced into it. In your case, they're dialing for dollars. And you're like, oh, that's so sweet. They're calling me because I'm stuck.
Yeah,
You guys want my money.
I was
Yeah,
thinking,
like they
that-
think I've got what it takes. And then I realized like all my grandfather's other grandchildren had passed on the opportunity. And
you were
they
the
didn't
last on the
even-
list. Is that what you're
They
saying?
didn't even go from the oldest to the youngest. Like they'd ask everyone else before me. Like I was the last stop on the road trip to finding financing, and
So
I said yes because I was clueless.
Well, I was thinking about that on the way over, and we've talked about this a lot, Stephanie. I mean, entrepreneurs are either people who've wanted to do this their whole life, or they were forced into it. You're the first one of all the guests we've
Huh.
had who just had this opportunity fall in their lap, and they made I guess, a noble decision to save the family name because your background. I mean, you were a
Yeah.
lawyer, you worked for the city sustainability.
Yeah.
You,
I was head of sustainability for Atlanta.
you
I was
served-
state
you
representative.
served as a state representative for 14 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll save the family business. I mean, it's that simple, right? You went from oat milk and Birkenstocks to major capitalist overnight.
I am not a major capitalist. I am a little engine that could, small business that's trying to make it. That's
capitalism.
well, what we are. It's not me, it's a team.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's what happened. And this is my assistant. She appears on all of my videos. Her name is Smokey.
Oh,
I
she
should
had
name her Stuckey because she's on every single video. She's like our mascot.
and she had the
but-
dancing.
Yeah,
cat
I
dance
just
going
had
too.
this opportunity and I went for it really. I think more than anything, yes, there was wanting to save the family brand, but I loved my grandfather.
Yeah, and
That's
so
the bottom line. I loved him and I didn't want what he had spent his whole life building up becoming what had happened to a lot of the former Stuckey stores. They were strip clubs and trucker bars, and nothing wrong with that, but that was not our brand, and that's not what he wanted our legacy to be. And so I just wanted to prove that what he did was really worth saving and introduce it to another generation of Americans, because we are lacking in just this road trip experience, and it's starting to come back. So I'm really excited about that. I bought the company right before COVID hit, and people did start to rediscover the road trip during COVID. And so it is starting to see a resurgence. It's unfortunate that it came about because of a real tragic situation, but people are rediscovering the road trip. And so I like to think we're part of that journey of creating it to
that
begin
first
with.
phone call,
We were the first road trip brand, and so I want to be part of the resurgence.
we're definitely the seasoned road trip brand. And we're
I
gonna
spent many a long night in a Stuckey's before.
okay, so
Yeah, and it wasn't the strip club. I mean, it was the good old fashioned just cup of coffee.
Yeah,
And
there's a handful still
Oh.
around.
okay, well, yeah, then me too. Whoops. No, I want to go back. So from that first phone call to the day you said, I'm out of here, lawyer, and I'm going to start the Stuckey's brand.
Yeah.
How long was that?
It was about 6 weeks.
Oh my God. I was waiting
Yeah.
for a year. I really was.
no, and I mean, I can't wait to hear about this turnaround because it sounds like it was.
I'm
pretty
sorry for this
quick.
background noise. Okay, it's gone.
Okay.
I don't live right down the street from an ambulance, so normally it's not so bad. But
That's all right.
yeah, it was about
Keep
6
it
weeks. I called and got some advice from some financial advisors and people who I respected who had careers in business. And I went to 3 financial advisors. One, because it's good advice to get 3 opinions, but it took 3 to get the answer I wanted. And the first who said, this is a really bad decision. Like the finances are bad and
Let's go.
this is a dusty brand and who's heard of it. And, it was a lot of sobering reality talk. And then the third person said pretty much the same thing, but he had a but. It's like, but There's
And you-
something not on the balance
And he
sheet,
gave
and
you that
that's the
one
value of the
little
brand
sliver.
and the goodwill, and so that's worth something.
She
And
is
I was
an
like,
entrepreneur.
yes,
You are.
yes.
I mean, that's one of the major characteristics of an entrepreneur, right? We don't say, but we solve the problem. We persevere. We go through it.
And you ignore all the sage advice and the wise counsel, and you go, but there's this little tiny bit of hope, and you go
Yeah,
for it.
but there's
Yeah.
this tiny, like, here's all the things that can go wrong, and then like, oh, but people still remember the brand, and
And you probably didn't do
they
this,
make
but
a
I
good
did this
pecan
because I couldn't say I'm a
log
lawyer. I'm
roll,
like, yeah, but I'm really smart. I mean, I got a master's in mechanical engineering. I'm way smart. And look where I am at the bank. You know what? This is a can't miss opportunity. Go start a handyman company. Oh yeah, go do that. Actually, everybody kept saying that to me, except one guy who said, no, that's a really dumb idea. I'm like, you know what you're talking about. I got a business plan. I'm all set, man. I'm way smarter. You know, how fast are you going to break even? 16 months. Start in 2008. There goes the recession. Oof. How long did it take you? 3 years. Anyway, breaking even.
that's
Let's get that.
good.
Yeah, well, it
That's
feels
good.
like well, it's 13
I mean,
years in the return.
I've been reading about so many businesses, and I really like business biographies. I like the story of the person.
Me too.
And
Amen.
like the Walmart story, I've read Sam Walton's Made in America, and he had to mortgage his house. Like, he was barely making it and struggling for a long time. Like, what he was doing was capital intensive and took a lot of work, and he had to get loans from his in-laws, and his brother, who was tragically killed young, but his brother was very involved and loaning him money and helping him build the business. Like, this stuff is hard. Growing a business is really tough, and getting that capital and getting profitable, you got to put up with some tough times and make some hard decisions. And not every day is going to be woo-hoo. It's a slog. And
Slog,
it's
she said
rare
it.
that it's like all of a sudden you've turned a corner. It's more of this slow, just
Slog is
trudging
my
up that
favorite.
mountain.
That's my favorite word right there. It is a slog. There's no
It's a
other way to say
slog.
I'm in the quagmire. I'm up to my waist, sometimes my ears, and you're just slogging. You're like, yeah, but Chris, look at all those trips you go on. Hey, look at you. Oh, Big Daddy's doing all this. And I know that's what you called your grandfather, but we do it all the time. Everybody looks at you from the outside, going, oh, man, you're done it. Oh, you're making all this money. Oh, man, life is so easy. You didn't see me at 3:30 this morning.
No, because you
curled
have
up
to
on my
pretend.
couch. Yeah, because it's hard,
Yeah.
right?
And it's a fine balance. Like, you don't want to say like, oh my God, our financials suck or whatever. Like, not that I would say that or that that's accurate, but there are times when the financials could be better. There are some days that are better than others. And you don't want to put out there something that's dishonest, but you also don't want to be gloomy. So I think you can share your story in an authentic way. And so it's a slog, and that doesn't mean we're not going to make it, or we're not making it, or we're not having these wins, but you have to put in a lot of time, and you've got to have a resilient mindset, and you've got to be okay with having some hard days, because there will 100% be hard days. But the thing that we both have, Chris, because I can tell just talking to you, is passion. So if you
I
are
definitely
really
have passion.
passionate, even if people are saying this is a crazy idea, or why are you leaving finance? Like, if you've got the passion, that's going to get you through it. And when you have a rough month and you're not profitable and you got to figure out how you're going to pay your note,
Or payroll.
meet
That's always a
payroll.
great one. Yeah. Right. Hitting payroll. All right.
So I got to ask, I mean, you've been so accomplished your whole life, been successful at everything you've done. I didn't see anything in your bio of any kind of a business background. And so,
None.
yeah. So you jump in, sure, I'm going to buy this company that needs a lot of help. You must have had this, oh my God, what have I done moment
Yeah.
after you did it. And what did you see at first? And I've got so many questions. You must have had amazing advisors, obviously excellent
Yes.
instincts.
Yes.
So talk
I-
about that first, oh my goodness, moment that you had.
I just surround myself with smart people, but I absolutely had a lot of oh crap moments. And I would say, even as hard as I've had there've been some rough days. I mean, I had one day where I pulled up to an old Stuckey's, and just high level, I don't want to, I mean, I'm happy to get in the weeds if you want, but the way we've been able to turn the company around, we do not own or operate any of those Stuckey stores that still remain, and there's only a handful of them. But initially I thought, oh, I can do something with these stores. They were franchised at the time. They're now licensed, but I was determined, like, I'm going to revive the stores. And I went to this one store and the roof was falling in. It looked so bad. And I was on this road trip with my son visiting these stores that were still around. And I saw that store and I just started crying. I mean, I was bawling. And he said, Mom, this is what you did with my inheritance. You're like, this is it.
Do better, Mom.
Do better. I'm hearing that from my kid. Right now.
This is it. Yeah.
Hey, trust me. I get it.
Yeah.
My
So I
daughter's
walk in
25.
that
I've heard it.
store and the store did look like crap on the inside too. So there was that, but they had people in the store and they were buying stuff. So that was my moment. Like, I saw a guy in line and he was buying a pecan log roll. And I thought, even though this store looks like crap, he's still buying stuff. And I asked him, why was he in the store? I was like, the store looks terrible. The roof is falling in. Why are you here?
Great
And
question.
he said, maybe Stuckey's is a fixer-upper, but so am I. He was really funny. He's like, so am I.
So
He
my
said, that I remember what this place was like when I was a kid. And he told me a story about taking a road trip across the country with his buddy. And he always stopped at Stuckey's. And I realized our brand still had some power. So there was that. It gave me a little bit of hope. But the other thing was he was buying product. And I thought, all right, we can do that. I can start making this again. And my grandfather's candy plant had been shuttered for 20 years and was in complete disarray, and I had no money. And so I was able to get the financing together through an SBA loan, and I got a business partner, and we bought a candy plant that was already operating. And we were able to turn things around that way. And we're still turning it around. It's up.
You mean it doesn't happen overnight for you? Oh, wow. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it did. No, it didn't for me. Yeah, still 16 years into it. Still
I've got a really important question because she just said a word,
Yeah.
and you've got a really fun Twitter feed or X or whatever you call it today. I mean,
Yeah.
for our listeners, you got to check it out. And my favorite one was your audiobook company, because you just wrote a book,
Yeah.
said, how do you want us to pronounce
the
the
nut
P
that you-
word?
Yeah, how do you say the P
P
word?
And I-
word.
What do you call it? How do you say it?
How do you say it?
I grew up saying pecan, but in the South, I hear pecan.
I still
And
say
you-
pecan. I'm from Michigan though.
I know.
And I've been
But
living-
then
I
heard
say pecan.
She said pecan.
Okay, there we go.
And
We
is
just-
that
so-
I
official?
say
So-
whatever the people I'm talking to says.
Oh,
Oh,
so when you're South
South.
Georgia, it's pecan?
Pecan.
pecan. All right, pecan, South Georgia.
It is all about meeting people where they are.
Hey, I
That's
use
a-
that in my sales line for our we use that all the time in our sales process. Remodelers and handymen, you got to meet them where they're at. Homeowners don't know where they're going. You just said it like that as well. So pecan, I love that. But I want to go back
Yeah,
to this.
I was just pitching a potential account, and the guy who owns this retail chain has a very Southern accent. And I just found myself like, yeah, you should carry our log rolls. You know?
I love
It's
doing.
like, where
I
did
love
that
doing
come from? Like, how
Georgia.
did that come out of my mouth? Like, I wasn't even aware until it came out of my mouth. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I sound like I've been in, Southern Alabama for a month or something. But you do that. And I think you do if you're an empathetic person. And
absolutely.
you want to
I wanna
connect
go
and
back to-
relate to
I-
people.
I
and-
don't advise you, Chris, putting on a fake Southern accent.
Come on
He at
now.
least has the root. No.
Come on
You're,
down to Sripley.
you're an
Go down to
Italian
Albany.
from the north. That's right.
Yeah, like if I've been talking to a British person, I could not have carried it off.
There
No,
you
would
go.
I have? Like, it wouldn't have been authentic. But for me, it was authentic because I am from the South. And whenever I go to South Georgia to a family reunion, like my accent just becomes Southern again. And
Actually, I just got accused of
You-
being
you
Canadian
just-
again because I was talking to a guy because I'm from Michigan and went to school in the way up north. So I can definitely turn on the Uper, but I cannot turn on. I can hold my own with Southern.
Oh, no, you
But
can't.
remember when we had Troy Truant on from Australia? And I tried to go Australia. That was horrible.
Yeah, it was
So,
terrible.
all right, I want to go back. So 6 weeks, you do this. Tell me you didn't have this mental image because I'm with you in the passion, but you thought you were Ray Kroc and you were going to have 500 McDonald's in in like 5 weeks. You thought you were going to revive the entire Stuckey's brand, Stuckey's everywhere. Is that what you were thinking when you said I'm going to do this?
I just thought I could do better. I don't know. I had read Grinding It Out already, the book that Ray Kroc's story is, the founder of the movie is based on Grinding It Out, although they take a lot of liberties with the story.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you read the book, it didn't happen for Ray Kroc overnight.
Mm-mm.
Ray Kroc, so actually I got a lot of inspiration from Ray Kroc because I read that book again. I had read it before. I've always been fascinated by entrepreneurs and their stories, even though I hadn't been in business. I think entrepreneurs are everywhere. You can be an entrepreneur and a lawyer, right? And you can be an entrepreneur and a politician. So that mindset I'd always had. So anyway, one of the things I loved about Ray Kroc's story is, and now I'm going to just really reveal my age when I bought the company, and then you could probably do the math. But he was 53 when he bought the McDonald's franchise, and I was 53 when I bought Stuckey's. And I'm like, he did it at age 53, and he'd spent his whole life like listening to these self-help motivational tapes and selling the Instamix mixer. No, he was selling the equipment for the milkshakes.
Right. Yeah. The milkshake mixers.
Now I'm
yeah.
forgetting the name. It's like the Instamix or the Instacart or something, but it had like a funky name. So he was like, he was a traveling salesman selling these mixers, and the McDonald's brothers ordered like a dozen of them or something. And he's like, who are these people and why are they ordering all these and what are they doing? And he studied their business model, and it's like,
so you didn't have that. I'm going to be the Stuckey, because
but it took him years.
Trusted Toolbox. I said, man, I'm going nationwide. I actually told my buddy in Dallas, Texas. I said, your kids are going to be wearing my jeans. I said, my jeans and my hat. I said, do you like Tough Skins when I was a kid in Sears? Right. You're going to have Trusted Toolbox. I said, my grandiose vision of the Trusted Toolbox was so big that nobody could tell me it was going to be smaller. And here I am.
Kids are going to be wearing my jeans.
I did too. I swear to God, I told her, I said, your kids are going to be wearing my jeans. 16 years later, it hasn't happened yet. Don't worry. I'm not giving up on that sucker. It's
There's a chance.
All right. So you mentioned something in here, and I think that's another key thing for any entrepreneurs. You had an idea, and you had one idea wherever you were going with it, but you pivoted. You pivoted in a very seminal moment where you're crying, which, by the way, I'm not above it. I've cried a lot.
Yes. I'm a big believer in that. Good cry sometimes is what you need.
This big Italian, he can cry a lot. Don't worry about it. So you had a pivot moment, and you said, hey, I'm going to go consumer brand. I'm going to go. That's a totally different marketing and a business play. Tell us how you got there.
I had to be profitable. Like, that's really what it comes down to. You can be super passionate about, oh, I'd love to have these stores. Well, I didn't have the money to rebuild those stores, and I couldn't get the financing for the stores. It's hard to get financing for convenience stores with gas like that. I mean, you have a financial background. Getting the financing for that was really hard. At that point, I had invested all my cash into buying Stuckey's.
Okay.
I couldn't get a loan to buy Stuckey's. It was not profitable. So
the SBA loan came only for the candy. So that was with the partner. The SBA loan came on hard property and a growing concern then, yeah?
So I'm sorry, I didn't entirely hear you because of the ambulance.
Oh, not here. Not for me, at least, the ambulance. It's not coming for me. Not yet.
Yeah,
All
no,
right,
not right now.
So when you bought it, you bought Stuckey's without financing. You got the SBA loan later, and that was because it was a candy. It was actually a going concern that you were able to get the funding.
Yes, it was a going concern. And we bought the asset. So it was asset purchase, but we also bought their book of business. So this company had been around since 1935, and they had a whole book of business. Yeah, and they had done business with my grandfather.
Holy
cow. It was
cow.
a pecan. It started as a pecan shelling operation, then went into pecan shelling and candies and snacks. And really, it was a pivot, but I'm not an expert on pivots, but I do think for pivots to work, if it's a total pivot is hard. Ours was really getting back literally to our roots.
Good call.
So it was changing how things had been done at Stuckey's in the last couple decades, but it wasn't working anymore. We didn't have the infrastructure. The model that was in place when I bought the company was not a bad model if you had the capital and the infrastructure to run a franchise program, but I didn't have that capital and infrastructure, and I couldn't find. I spent a year trying to find partners who were interested in that, and I couldn't find them. And so I realized that I could probably get financing. And by this point, COVID had hit, right? And so the government is interested in investing in manufacturing for food in America.
All right. Come on, Americana, coming back.
There were
Come on to
dollars
the South.
available for rural investments.
Smart.
And so we took advantage of financing, government financing. So my background as a lawyer, my background as a state representative, like I understood government financing, and I'd worked for the city of Atlanta, and I applied for federal grants. And so I was not unfamiliar, even though I'd never really done the business side. Like a grant application with the EPA is not unlike an SBA application.
Oh, yuck.
So
mean,
I
but
did
good.
like the whole initial packet. And at that point, I'd been bringing on a business partner, and we merged during that SBA process. And then we also got an SBA loan processor, which you really do have to get because you have to navigate the entire process. It's hard. But
That's a great
long
point.
story
too. A lot of
short,
people
it took
need to
us
know
a
that one.
year to get that financing. A year.
How many people are employed in the candy factory?
It's about 40.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a big thing. So let's get into that. So how
I
many?
wish it were more.
It will be.
It will be.
Yeah, we've
Come
had
on.
more. It's just been hard because we're a seasonal business. And so peak season, we'll pick up the numbers. Our dream is to be able to be consistent with our sales year round. And it's just hard when you have a seasonal business. And so we're trying to be creative and figure out, because pecans are seasonal.
Seasonal harvesting, but it's not seasonal sales. Yeah.
Yeah, Americans eat sugar year round, 24/7,
Yeah, man.
365.
Q4 though, yes, they eat sugar year round. Good point. But there are the candy business is very much occasion driven, right? And so you've got Valentine's Day, and we're less of a Valentine's Day brand, but we definitely get a pickup for Valentine's Day. But you've got
Heart-shaped
Valentine's Day,
pecan
you've
log.
got Mother's Day, Father's Day, Easter. So those are like the big occasions. And I'm on the National Confectioners Association board. So shout out to our trade association.
Whoa,
Wow.
hang on.
And they
National
have created
Confectioner?
June as National Candy Month. And it's for that very reason, because we're trying to pick up those sales. And then really after Easter, it's typically kind of this long stretch to get to Halloween, but we're not really a Halloween candy.
No.
Oh, you know what? We got an idea. Oh, we can do that. Come on, let's spitball that sucker right now, right?
Pecan bites.
Pecan bites.
Pecan bites. Yeah, we've thought about that, but we've got to
Pecan
get the
horns.
machinery, and we got to get the packaging, and we got to ramp it up, and then we got to market ourselves.
Oh,
So yes,
much work.
I want us to be a Halloween brand, but we're not quite there yet.
okay. Because
But
Halloween,
our
I
big
think
season
Halloween
is
started to eclipse
Christmas.
Christmas. I know, right? So your big season is Christmas.
Christmas.
Boy,
Yeah.
wow.
Gift tins, comfort, nostalgia.
See, and I would have thought,
I know.
especially back in the day when there were so many roadside places, it would be a summertime business because you had all the
Yeah.
all the tourists,
Well,
and so that's changed.
And
Well,
so,
and we are selling. So when we did the pivot, we
Hmm.
started selling our product to other convenience stores.
right. So this is what I want
Yeah.
to, because I mean, number one, I'm a Stephanie Stuckey's talker. I'm going to go back on record saying that.
Yeah.
We've made that
But
clear.
the best possible way. But I love the way you
You're a
built the
good
brand.
talker.
Yeah. But I love the way you built the brand. I've taken a lot of tips off what you've done, is because by posting out to social media, it's a very inexpensive way to get your brand out there. And I've
Yeah.
heard that you said, hey, I'm getting my brand out there and I'm doing, end caps or storefronts, and I'm getting into convenience
Yeah.
stores. So I would have thought that no way that was a seasonal business. When I was listening to her, I was like, oh my God, because my business is seasonal, right? When it gets
It'll be
slow-
less seasonal the more retail presence she gets, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
so-
we're
yeah.
getting there. Like, I don't want it to seem like we're all just sitting there like looking at our watch till it gets to
rocking
be
chair.
like September. All right, crank up the machines. Let's get the chocolate going, and let's roll out the log rolls. It's September. No, we are
Roll out the pecans.
right. By the way, I'm so excited about this. I am chomping at the bit to be able to film this. And my business partner's like, it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet for prime time, but we have a machine that is made just for us. It's been a year in the works, and it is a pecan log roll machine. It's the only one of its kind.
We're breaking that. We have
And
inside
it makes pecan log rolls. So we can go from like, these numbers may be slightly off. So my
Are they
business partner will be
handmade now?
fact checking
wait,
me, but like
wait.
10
embellish. Give me
10
the
log
numbers.
rolls a minute to 100 log rolls a minute. Like it's going to be just rolling them out. And they do this giant extruder, and then they coat the caramel, and then they roll it in the pecans, and then they cut it, and then they put it through the flow wrapper, and you get this, and it's like, bam. And
So that was
right
that
now
done?
it's like roll
So you're doing it by hand now.
a lot of it.
Really?
A lot of it.
Wow. Man, I love Lucy's kid.
Yeah, that's
thing.
right.
As soon as she started talking about, I'm going from 10 to 100. I got Lucy Arnett's going like this, trying to remember that.
Oh, yeah,
episode?
the
Yeah,
conveyor
we
belt of
have that
candy.
machine at our candy plant, by the way.
Oh my God.
It's a chocolate enrobing machine, and it literally is a waterfall of chocolate that comes down. And so you'll line up on the conveyor belt. You can this is the fun thing about an enrober, is you can really put anything in an enrober. So you could do
Like I could stick my head
pretzels
in
or
there.
Oreo cookies, but you could do gummy bears. You could do, I want to do a chocolate covered potato chip, which sounds strangely good,
Yeah.
right?
Right?
Mhm.
Oh,
And then you just run it through the conveyor belt,
is it bad that
and
my
then it
mouth
goes
just
through the
started watering?
cooling chamber. But what they were doing afterwards, when it came out of their little conveyor belt, out of the waterfall, they were wrapping it by hand. They were putting it in the little, sleeves or
seal-
whatever,
oh,
and
wow.
they weren't keeping up.
Oh boy, yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, let's break that.
But we
Pecan
have that
log. We're
same
going from
machine.
10 to 100 logs. You have got to eat my stuff when you come by. All right, so my biggest question is we all road tripped. We're seasoning ourselves here, and I don't know if you're marketing to us or you're marketing to the younger generation, but what was the
All,
car? What
Everyone.
was the car you road tripped in as a kid?
Oh,
That
What
a
was the
family
car
trip.
I what?
What
Road
car
trip.
did you guys road trip in? When your
it
dad
was
said
it was a station wagon. It was a Ford station wagon. It was
Ford
a
Country
Ford
Squire.
Country Squire station wagon. I
That's
have a
what we did.
picture of me in it.
Oh my God, I was in an Oldsmobile 88.
Oh, you luxury.
I was
Man,
luxury.
you were
baby. And there was
rolling
only two of us,
style.
but it was that. But we all had that one, right? Don't make me pull this car over. So I grew up in Michigan. My grandparents moved to Florida because that was what every Italian did when they retired. And so my dad would say, "We're going to Florida." I'm like, "Awesome! Here we go from Michigan." So it's a 20+ hour trip to Fort Myers.
Fun.
It was
You go to Fort Myers? Fort
Yeah.
Myers is so much fun.
It was. So now, but it was a death march because that's the only way my dad knew how to do it. So we would hump it and stop right north of Atlanta, and he'd wake us up at 4 a.m. and we would start saying, "Can we stop?" So we knew we got to the south when we saw Stuckey's.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
And so we'd say, "Can we stop?" And he'd be like, "No, I make a good time." I had that
Yeah.
dad, by the way. Of course, I
We
turned
love
that dad.
moms, because the moms would be like, no, we got to pull over.
And my mother was a huge sweet freak. So she's like, Sam, pull over. The kid, we need to stop. So we did. We did the Stuckey's thing.
Yeah.
So today you are building your story brand around road tripping and promoting your product. Again, I just think
Yeah.
what you're doing is, it looks like you're doing a bootstrap marketing budget, which I love. But here,
Yeah.
any way you
are.
can do it, right? You could go out there and buy every billboard in the world. You could go out there and spend millions
We don't
and
have
millions
that
of dollars.
money.
I don't got that money, man. So you're doing it. So you're road
No
tripping.
billboard cost.
So what are you driving in now?
I drive a company car. So it's a Chevy Expedition.
Okay.
Is it wrapped? Is it wrapped with Stuckey's logos?
It's just got one of those magnetic signs
Oh, come on,
on the
man.
side.
No, we got to wrap
We
that.
could wrap
sucker.
it in make it a pecan log.
Dude, I
Rolling.
would wrap it as a what exact-
Rolling
you-
pecan log.
You could have that log on the top. We're going to start marketing for you. We got this figured out. We're going to put
Yeah.
a log on top of the thing.
Yeah, like the Oscar
like-
Mayer hot dog mobile.
You be
Do
the
you
hot
know
dog
there
mobile, you
is
be
a
the pecan
guy
log
in,
mobile. That's what I was
Rehoboth
looking for. I thought
Beach.
you'd say the log mobile.
There's a guy in Delaware who is a huge Stuckey's fanboy, and he got an old Crossley station wagon, and he put a giant pecan log roll, looks just like this, on top of it, and he drove it all up and down the Eastern Shore this past summer. He was not officially representing Stuckey's, right? But he reached out to me about it. He's like, hey, can I put a giant log roll on top of my car? And I'm like,
So the lawyer in you
okay.
said, well, no, but the entrepreneur in you said, well, hell yeah. I'll
I
send you
was
some
free
log rolls.
publicity.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
But then I was like, what if he's a total kook? What if he's a pedophile? You know,
Right.
like, who
Oh,
did
well.
I just say could do this, right? But he turned out not to be a kook or a pedophile, thank God.
Oh, thank God.
Just
I
a
love the
super
idea.
enthusiastic car guy, and he likes retro and he likes Stuckey's, and he stopped as a kid. And so we did send him cases throughout the summer. I'd send him, you know, like he'd let me know when he was out, and I'd send him cases of log rolls. So he would pass out log rolls. And the cool thing is he found out where the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile was going to be, and he parked the log roll mobile right next to the Wienermobile, and he's got a picture
Outstanding.
of the two next to one another.
In the Johns Creek days, remember the parades we used to have? I made sure that I got my Trusted Toolbox fan right behind the Wienermobile when it showed up. And I got pictures to this day. I got pictures of me and my son there going, oh, love it.
That's
Oscar
so
Mayer
cute.
and the Trusted Toolbox. We are Americana. You can do this. All right.
Yeah.
So, Stephanie, as you've done and you've grown the business, things have gone well, right? I mean, everything can always go better, but you've gone really well. What was one of the best marketing things you did to help grow that brand? If you went, man, that was, you know what? That one was good.
I saw it move the needle.
Yep.
I know there was a pivotal moment where when I first bought the brand, it was a couple months in, and I was posting on social media every day, and I was watching all these Gary Vee videos on punch,
Yeah.
punch, jab, right? Or maybe it's jab, 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 punch. But what, you know, like you're
hitting buddy.
basically out there posting every single day on every single social media channel. He says like 5 or 6 times a day. I couldn't keep up with that, but I did post every day on most of the social media channels.
And I watched it.
I have not been very good on Pinterest, but you know, I put myself out there on TikTok and everything. And so I was doing all that. And then the jab is like, you know, then every 6 posts is something that's salesy, but otherwise you're just trying to tell a story and create a brand story and interest in what you're doing and engaging people. And I really wasn't succeeding at it. And I think part of it was I was just trying to be super upbeat and I'm bringing this brand back. Woo, who's with me? And, you know, I was trying to be something that we really, I mean, I was trying to bring the brand back, but there wasn't a lot of reality in there because we were not doing well. And so I wasn't showing that more honest, vulnerable side. So
Right.
I pulled over at this old Stuckey's store, and they still had the roof, and they actually even had the Stuckey's sign, but it wasn't a Stuckey's anymore. It was someone else, some other name. They changed the name, and they put a different sign out front, but it looked like a Stuckey's, and it had the Stuckey's sign out front. So I took a photo, and it looked really pathetic. And I posted something very vulnerable and real and said, I have been driving the back roads of America in search of my family's brand. And I keep finding lost old Stuckey's. And despite the hard times that everyone's going through, because it was right during COVID, I said, I am working hard, and I'm committed to reviving this country and reviving Stuckey's, because I believe in both of us.
And people reacted.
Oh my God, it was crazy. It went like within a day, it had like 250,000 likes or something. And I was like,
Wow.
what? And people were just like, oh my God, I remember Stuckey's and I love that you're trying to bring the brand back. And so not only did that one post take off, and I've yet to have one that I think is just like, oh, I went viral, you know, like 1 million or anything. But I think there's a lot of value in these that do better than you expected or perform really well. And then you realize, well, what was it about this that worked? And how can I do more of that in a way that's different, you know, because you don't want to just regurgitate the same content every day. So that just really got me more on a storytelling path and on a more of a sharing path. And then I also learned the important thing is not just to post and get a bunch of thumbs up. You want engagement. And it's not enough that people just comment, but you should be commenting back. If someone takes the time to comment on your post, you need to comment back. And then here's the other level that I didn't learn until more recently, stupid me, really pay attention to who is commenting. So I'll give you a great example. Do I have the coat? I have the coat. All right. I love stories of brands that have made it or not made it. And I tell those stories. Like I wrote an obit when the last Howard Johnson's restaurant died last year. That was really that was a sad day for me. That was a crying in my coffee day. But I also really miss Kmart. And there's only like 5 Kmarts left. They're almost all gone. So I'm in Carrollton, Georgia, and I see a big K sign. So the Kmart is gone, but the sign is there. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a sign. Like the sign is still there. Like, that's awesome. So I pull over and I take a photo of the sign. And I just posted this last week. And that one got a ton of engagement. And so you can find it on my feed on LinkedIn pretty regularly. So I'm wearing this shirt, right?
The Piggly Wiggly, baby.
Yeah. And here's one of the things I love to do. It's a little subtle. I don't want to be like in your face with it. But brands that carry our product, they're really our partners. And so I feel like I need to be out there promoting Hobby Lobby and Piggly Wiggly and Food Lion and Ingles, like anyone who carries a Stuckey's product. I want to be out there saying, I love Piggly Wiggly. Go stop at your Piggly Wiggly. Go stop at your Food Lion because they are helping us make it. And so I'm wearing this little Piggly Wiggly, you know, so I make sure I got the Piggly Wiggly in there.
We got to get you the shirt that says I dig the pig.
And this woman says, nice Piggly Wiggly shirt or something like that, right? And so I was like, cool. And I actually got quite a few like that. Well, this woman, I looked at, well, what's her name? What's she do? She's head of buying for Piggly Wiggly for the Midwest.
Nice.
Oh, good job.
Messaged her, oh my God, I'm so excited that you noticed my Piggly Wiggly shirt. You know I love Piggly Wiggly, and we're in Piggly Wiggly in Alabama. Why aren't we in Piggly Wiggly? You know, we would just love to be in Piggly Wiggly in the Midwest. So I connected her with my buyer. And so it's still in the works, but like
nice.
So that just shows you now it hasn't happened yet. I hope it comes forward. Miss Piggly Wiggly, and I can't believe I'm forgetting your name, lady, but it was a lovely exchange.
Don't worry, we're actually tagging I dig the pig. Yeah, we got that.
I'll look up her name. But it was a very nice exchange, and I really appreciated her making that comment, and that sort of started everything going.
Are you seeing?
Pay attention to who comments on your posts, because it could be a potential business opportunity.
That's a great gold nugget. Are you actually seeing? So I saw the video you did and you were showing the socks and all the bins of socks and things like that. I mean, are you starting to see a direct correlation with posting that video and suddenly your online merch sales spike?
Yeah, it does help. It does help. One of the things I'll do when I'm at the candy plant, especially, and I'm not there as much as I would like to be because I've got a lot of speeches I'm giving these days. But when I'm at the candy plant, I'll do a post on social media. Like, if you order a pecan log roll today, I am going to personally sign the box. And it's kind of silly, but orders pick up and I'll film me signing the pecan log rolls.
That's awesome. So I've got a question. I know you're very close with your grandfather, and he's the one who founded Stuckey's. Do you remember him talking about the business?
No.
And if you don't. So when you're thinking about your grandfather as your, you know, I'm sure at some point, I wonder what he would have thought of this. I mean, do you have those kinds of thoughts?
I always think about what he would have thought. I think about it every day, and I wish I knew.
Well, I guarantee he'd be super proud of what you're doing.
I don't know. He was my grandfather, and he had sold the company he sold the company a year before I was born. And he died a week after my 12th birthday. And so I wish I'd known him better. My dad says he would be proud, and my aunt says he would be proud. He had 2 children, and they're still living. And
You're trying to
so
make
they
me
said
cry
he
on the
would.
podcast.
I just made you cry a little
You
bit.
did. I know. I'm actually tearing up
Yeah.
over it because I think about my grandparents. I had 2 Italian immigrant grandparents, and my grandmother actually had her own business. How about being avant-garde, right?
Yeah.
I
That
love
was very
it.
cool.
What was her
And
business?
so she made gowns, and she also and they're called Infants of Prague. It's a very long story short is it's a Catholic thing, and they dress up the baby Jesus and put him in
Seasonally, right? I mean, seasonal.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she made seasonal dresses, and what was cool was that she did it from Buffalo, New York, and I was down in Charlotte, North Carolina later in life, and my daughter was getting her we did the her first communion there, and they had one of my grandmother's dresses there.
Wow.
Absolutely
Oh
flipping
my
awesome.
gosh, that's
I
so
did.
cool.
I went down. So
That's really
anyway,
great.
but it's not about me. Back to Stephanie because we're running out of time. Great on the social media. Love that. Like I said, big Stephanie stalker. But I want to know, like, one of the things I thought you've done a really good job of is finding your tribe, finding that network, because for you to
Yeah.
push to get your product out there, it's convenience store owners. How have you found your tribe, and how have you networked to help do that for our listeners?
Well, I'm a big fan of Seth Godin. He talks a lot about finding your tribe. So hold on just one second. Excuse me, I'm recording a video.
I'd love to say we're going to
Sorry.
edit that out. We're just not doing that. That was just super cool because she just told somebody else, I'm way more important over here. Let's keep going. Seth Godin, find your tribe. I want to hear how you do
Yeah,
it.
so he talks a lot about that. So I think first of all, you have to define your brand identity, right? And so what is your brand really about? So I have 2 business partners, RG Lamar, who runs the day-to-day operations of the company. He's the CEO, actually. I started as CEO and we transitioned. So he now runs day-to-day candy operations, distribution center. He runs all of that. I'm the face of the brand. And then our third partner, Ted Wright, runs a marketing firm. So Stuckey's is like his side hustle. And so Ted really helped me sit down and helped us, our team, define sort of what is the brand. We created this brand diamond, and we came up with what are the attributes that our brand is about. So nostalgia and American, and road trips and freedom and fun and independence. So we sort of put together like what we think our brand represents. And so then you step back once you kind of figure out what is your brand identity. So who would relate to that? So we stepped back and then we thought, okay, road trippers. So who road trips? So teenager, people out of college, right? And you see America, that's a big time. So we got that demographic, and families road trip, and people finding themselves later in life, RVers road trip, campers and glampers. So we just kind of kept figuring out the different demographics. And then we also thought about, well, what are the occasions that we can help celebrate the road tripper? So a lot of our marketing is around the road trip, because you don't want to be all things to all people, right? So that's the other thing. Like I've talked to people who are like, I don't like pecans, or I don't like road tripping. And I'm like, okay, you're not in our tribe. That's okay.
You're dead to me, as Chris would say.
You're not our tribe.
I've already said
It's
that.
like people,
and you're dead.
and maybe someday we'll do this, but they're always like, well, when are you going to make sugar-free stuff? Well, we're not right now, and it's not in the foreseeable future. Not that I don't think that's awesome, but we don't have the capacity to be all things to all people right now. So our lane is
bring on the
sugar.
pecans. That's right.
We're the
Lane is
sugar
sugar.
lane.
You're in the sugar lane. You know what? That lane ain't going to stop anytime soon, my friends.
No.
Back to McDonald's. Hey,
Yeah, and we do some
shaker.
raw pecans. So we do. You can buy raw pecans from us,
Yeah.
but really, like, we are in the candy lane. We're not trying to be something we're not. So kind of know who your peeps are, and then and then we built out a content calendar based on that. And so I travel a lot for my job. And whenever I go anywhere, I refer to the content calendar, and I think, all right, what sort of images do I need? What sort of storytelling do I need to be telling that this place could help me tell? So here's a good example. NASCAR fans, that's our base. Like we're Americans, so country music and NASCAR, those are our peeps. And so when I was in Daytona for a speech, I took all these photos of me in front of the NASCAR, Daytona 500, and there's a NASCAR museum and there's a statue of the founders. And so I did all that and I saved all that design collateral for a couple weeks ago when Daytona 500 came out. And I'm like, here I am at Daytona 500. Well, I wasn't there. I had a commitment in Atlanta, but
You duped me. All right. Well,
What?
we're going to talk about this.
yeah,
after
so
this,
it's just, you gotta,
because
but a lot of this stuff takes
I know
planning.
people in NASCAR.
It,
We can do this.
it may look spontaneous or it may look like I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to Daytona 500. Well, I wish I could. I couldn't be there, but I could be there earlier this year as I took photos. So just plan it out.
I
It
love
takes
that.
a lot of strategy. There's, as my business partner likes to say, there's a lot of strategery behind what we do.
Strategery, one of my favorite words. I was just actually, I had that on my notes. I was talking the
Yeah.
strategery around your brand.
Yeah.
So you found the confectioners, you're doing that. You're obviously getting your name out there. We're running out of time, and I know I'm going to get you back to getting those pecan logs rolled.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So I know we can find you on our socials. We'll push all that stuff out there. That book, Unstuck: Rebirth of an American. Finish it for me.
Pardon?
What was the Unstuck: Rebirth of an
Unstuck:
American?
Rebirth of an American Icon. It is available for pre-sale on every .com online bookstore, from Amazon to Books A Million to Barnes and Noble. You can find pre-sale right now. And then starting April 2nd, we will be landing in stores. And the book launch is at the Jimmy Carter Presidential Library on
Oh, very
April
cool.
1st in Atlanta.
Nice pull. Good for
You're
you.
invited, 7 p.m.
When?
7 p.m. April 1st is not an April Fool's Day joke. That is just the only date that works
Actually,
with everyone.
I was like, oh my gosh, you threw me off.
Yeah, that's
Shoot.
right. Because
Another
it's a restraining order.
Damn
Yep.
it, lawyers.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, I'm not that bad. No, I'm kidding. All right.
Yeah. So I'm going to be doing a little fireside chat with a local Atlanta journalist and author Mike Jordan, who I was so excited when he said yes. He writes a lot about culture and Atlanta, and so I'm super excited.
Will you do a
fireside
reading?
chat format and talk about the book. And the Carter Center is doing an exhibit of the Green Book, which was the African American travel guide during the era of racial segregation. And so I think that's a really nice tie-in with Stuckey's and the road trip. And Stuckey's was never segregated, so we tie in really well with the Green Book. We were even in the movie The Green Book. There's a whole scene at a Stuckey's.
No kidding.
Man,
Yep.
I missed that.
Yep.
Stephanie, this has been awesome, but we're going to let you go. You got to get back and do your thing. Guys, you've been listening. If you hung with us, you've got an amazing story. There are so many other things that you could learn about what Stuckey and the brand is, but what Stephanie has done to rebirth that brand has been amazing. I'm a big fan. I've said that throughout the thing.
It's a service to the country. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I love it. Yeah.
And this sucker's not going away, man.
No.
It's definitely going big time. So we love it. We got to do this. Remember, man, you're out there. We're slogging through it. She said that word, slogging through it. Let's get up that
Slog.
mountaintop. Let's make it happen. Get up that mountaintop. We got success. It's in our rear view mirror. No, it's in our front.
We're
Let's
slogging
keep
the
going.
logs, right?
Get them going. We're out of here.
Cheers, everybody. Thanks, Stephanie.
Bye.